stuck on it.
As long as there are no more bugs, we'll be okay.
Yeah. I don't know where it came from yet, the couch.
I'm telling you, if I see no more bug here.
So we are sitting down with Cassie and Sarah, and we're talking about how you are never the same after you encounter God and are on His mission. One of the misconceptions we're going to be talking about today is that you have to be a certain age and a certain lifestyle to be on mission. For example, you have to be well educated and a theologian to be on mission. But I'm sitting down with two lovely ladies that I love dearly, and they are missionaries, but they didn't always start out like that.
Not a theologian.
Self-professed non-theologian Cassie, on her way. She's on her way. And so you guys, I want to talk about that misconception and just kind of know what you guys think. Do you kind of see how people can take on missions as they have to reach a certain point, rather an age or, theologically, to where they not go on mission until that point? Do you see that?
Yeah, definitely. I know that whenever I first started getting into ministry, I compared myself a lot to the people around me, and I was like, there's no way that I can handle these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. So you kind of go out the gate already thinking you're unqualified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me it was the same, but I also saw, I think it was like a lot of the comparison as well, just everyone around me who was super evangelistic, and I was not, I didn't function that way. It's not the way I thought I was created to be, and so I thought, well, I can't do those same things. But I think it was also a fear of not knowing enough, not being able to handle situations, or not just be like, I don't know. And I think that's a lot of what that was for me.
Yeah.
Just not being qualified.
Not being qualified, right. And so you guys, I wanted to talk to y'all specifically because you both became on mission, and I know you dearly, so I know that you both gave your life on mission in a really unorthodox way, which we hope happens more often, but on the college campus. And so we know college campuses as a place where you are that age where you can just go crazy, if you want to. It is that time in your life where you kind of feel like this is what I want to do. But that's not what you guys did. What did you expect your college experience to be like?
You want to go first?
Yeah, for me, I don't know, I never really had expectations of what college was supposed to be for me, because I know what the college experience was supposed to be and how the media portrays it's supposed to be, but I knew already going into it, I was like, that's not me, I'm not going to do that. So I was kind of in this kind of bubble, I think, of my college experience, where my roommates and I, we hung out together and we slept and we ate food in our dorms and we went to the library.
And you studied, yeah.
We studied, and that was my college experience before I met ENC. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I didn't go off the deep end like some people do, and I just kind of did what I've always been doing and what was normal to me, and just kind of stuck to that routine.
Yeah. I could see Cassie being like, I came here for school, I'm going to do school.
I was like, I'm paying money for this. I'm going to make sure it's going towards something useful.
Yeah. What about you, Sarah?
So, I went to Texas State.
Yeah.
So I had an idea of what it would be like. When I went to college, though, I knew that it was going to be kind of a party school, but I did not want to be so crazy that I had to be like my other friends who had to come home from college. So I definitely did want to have fun, but I still wanted to be focused on school. I knew that I came for athletic training. I wanted to get into that program. I was really competitive, so yeah. But I did want to have fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of like my life in high school, so
Yeah.
still wanted to be fun, Sarah.
Of course, and you still are.
Yeah.
Maybe different kind of fun. So there was a point in your college life where you came to a decision about how you were going to live your life and what way you were going to live your life. Can you tell us a little bit about that time?
For me, it was my sophomore year of college. I was very lonely and isolated because all of my freshman year roommates had transferred to different schools, and my brother, who had been with me for my freshman year of college, transferred back to Texas State, where he went, and where he spent his first year. He messed up his entire college career after that. But and then my dad ended up leaving my mom that semester officially and divorcing her, and it was just kind of all of these things were happening at once, and I didn't know really what was going on in my life. But I had attended City Life with my parents before the end of my freshman year, and I said I would come back after summer, after I went back home, and so I did. And the first time I ever visited City Life is when I got connected with ENC. I met Carrie, and we went out and ate Chipotle and talked about all the disastrous things happening in my life. And I cried over my Chipotle bowl. That was fun. And
Teaches you to have a lunch with me, not cry.
But it was that point in my life where I was so lonely and so isolated from other people, and I was so desperate for community, that when all of these opportunities started arising in ENC to be a part of something bigger than myself, and be a part of, a family, I was all in, and I jumped fully in, not knowing what I was getting myself into, but I did it, and I'm so glad I did, because it changed my life.
Yeah.
For me, kind of know my story a little bit. So I actually had everything in my life going for me at the time.
Okay.
So like just everything was working out. My grades were good. Getting into the program was good. It was my freshman year, and I actually sought out the church because in my head I thought, well, one, my boyfriend was a believer. And so I was like, okay, well, if I want to be serious with him, I probably have to go to church. And then the second point, and his mom basically told me I have to go to church. So that was the first part. The second part was, I do still want to have fun, but I also want to have, stay on track. And church people don't get into trouble. So, I sought out a church. But I did have everything kind of going for me. Everything was going good. I had the boyfriend, I had the friends. All of it, and because I sought them out, just finding a church, they really pursued relationship with me, and getting into the nitty-gritty of my life, and I heard the gospel for the first time. I mean, I had been around church, but I heard it for the first time, and just the understanding of that I could have all of this, and everything could be going for me, but I still have nothing if I have no relationship with Jesus. That there was a point in time where that just struck me.
Yeah.
I really have nothing. I have everything, but I have nothing. And so I cried boohoo, snot bubble, cried with my roommate right next to me. So my life hasn't been the same. I gave my life to Jesus that day. I knew that was the next step that I needed to take, and I didn't have to be perfect. But
So that's when you decided I'm going to follow where he leads.
Go all in.
I'm going to go all in on this. And so you are learning how to do life now on a college campus as a believer. You both said that you had community. You both found ENC on campus. And how did your community, the college campus, the ENC group, how did they encourage you to live on mission? Was it a part of what they talked about? I'd hope for your sake.
Right?
I mean, it definitely was. I think that was the culture that we were brought up in within ENC, was to be on mission. I mean, you were my mentor, the woman who discipled me and my campus minister, and you always challenged me and always pushed me. Like I said at the beginning, I didn't ever want to do evangelism because I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think I was qualified. But you pushed me to go out there and do God tests, and you would just be like, hey, Cassie, you want to do this one? Oh, what? Okay. And it happened like that. But that's honestly what I needed
Yeah.
to be able to get comfortable doing them. And it took me a while to get comfortable doing them. It took me years
Yeah.
to get comfortable
Yeah.
doing God tests and walking up to strangers and asking them if they want to give their life to Jesus.
Yeah.
But if it hadn't been that culture of, hey, let's do this together, let's go out 2 by 2 and do this together, then I would never have done it myself.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't tell her to say that. It just
I was like, come on.
But you know what's funny is that maybe stealing a little bit of Sarah's, but she would tell me stories before I had even met Cassie. Sarah would tell me stories of how she was led on campus,
Yeah.
and I was like, that seemed to really impact her.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna do that for you. I'm just gonna do that to you. So
Yeah.
how did it work at Texas State?
Yeah, so the idea of community was like so new to me. I mean, I had friends growing up and stuff, but like people who were really invested in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, Rachel Hawkins at the time, Guerrero now, she was like, I want to be your best friend. And I was like, who's this girl?
Who are you?
Sure, if you're going to pay for my meal. You know, and she told me then, she's like, let's make this a weekly thing. Like, I knew she already had it in her mind. Now I know. But at the
Yeah.
time, I didn't know. She was like, going to take me out to lunch? Cool, yeah. So she
Yeah.
made it a weekly thing. And yeah, she just kind of just really like dug into the, you know, just asking me hard questions,
Yeah.
things I did not know the answers to, words that I didn't understand. We call it
Yeah.
Christianese. Like, she was teaching me, you know, about just different things. And then Peter Dusan, who was my pastor at the time, we would all meet up at the quad, which is like the main part of campus. And that was like my favorite part of the day because I got to see everybody that I was like getting to become friends with. And he would, you know, just be like, hey, come with me while I go talk to this guy. And he would start the conversation and then be like, Sarah's gonna tell you this great story. What story? You know, what story? And he's like, come on, tell him your story. And so I definitely was not, like, I am the kind of girl who will not do anything by myself.
Yeah.
I will almost always say no. I almost said no to this.
So
I'm
glad
just
you
kidding.
did it.
But yeah, so just having someone there to like support you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was this culture of we're not going to do it alone, and you know, and you may not feel ready,
Yeah.
but what is ready? You know, what is ready? You know, and do you guys think that you have a more vibrant life? You had a more vibrant college experience. Let's just start there, by having been on mission on your campus.
I mean, for me, 100% yes. Because if I hadn't been on mission in college, I would have been in my dorm room with my roommates, eating McAllister's for my entire 4 years. I never would have ventured out. I wasn't really an adventurous type. I was more like, do what I need to do, and then I can maybe adventure later.
Yeah.
And so being part of ENC and being on mission in that way pulled me out of my comfort zone. It challenged me, but it allowed me to be in a different mindset, have a different mindset, and experience something better than I imagined for myself,
Yeah.
especially in my college years.
That's good.
For me, yes, 100% yes. I say the same. I mean, I'm like easily make friends wherever I go. But it's one thing to just be with friends and having a typical college experience. Like, in a lot of ways, I feel like even when I tried to do that, aside from already giving my life to Jesus,
Yeah.
it felt so empty to me.
Yeah.
And I see it now, and yeah, you have fun or whatever, but honestly, ENC offered me so many opportunities to have fun. We did family nights,
Yeah.
and we were cool, and we were fun.
Yes,
I still like pride our old group. I mean, if you look at our old group, you could ask Rob or whoever. I'm like, we were kind of cool.
You were cool.
But yeah, it doesn't have to be like having fun on campus. Doesn't have to be going to parties and doing like the typical what the media shows you
Yeah.
college life is like, you can still do all of these things and love Jesus. And so
Yeah.
going on mission, like
Yeah.
getting to talk to college students, aside from like all, that was also fun.
Yeah.
Getting to talk to students and know more about them. And Texas State was like a character in itself, all the crazy people like you run into there.
Yeah. They're
People
eccentric.
you're doing a God test and someone's hanging out in the tree,
I've never done a God test with someone in a tree before.
Sarah and I were sitting in a hammock in the park, and this guy just walked up to us this one time,
Right
asked
up
if
to
he
us.
could lay in my hammock because he had a bad day.
Yeah.
Those things
So,
happen on campus.
Yeah, it's
nowhere
one of
else.
those things of like, you came to us, so,
Yeah.
now I'm going to ask you and talk to you
Yeah.
about Jesus. 'cause-
Yeah. I think it was a pretty good conversation.
Yeah.
It was.
So I have a question, but I also have a memory first.
Yes.
Do you remember when we had that like training at y'all's house? We had like the training, we call it 2-a-days. So it's kind of like where we regroup before the new semester,
Yeah.
and then we decided to have a water gun fight and a
Oh.
water balloon fight.
Yeah.
And like, it was like all the girls and we were gonna go and like,
Yes. Yes.
just fun. Like that was random too. Like,
Yeah.
how about we do this? Let's go
Yeah.
prank them.
Yeah, we did that. We did stuff like that all the time. One time, I mean, there's this like photo of all the girls from Texas State.
Yeah.
And we, went to Walmart and bought, eye black and, went, got all these crazy things and we, did pranks on the guys. Like
Yeah.
they were all at home. We were like, we want to hang out. Well, let's just prank them. We
Yeah.
sticky noted their car, or whatever. Just crazy things. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a depth to friendship, and there's a more of a joy in those moments when you're doing life together, but life together under the banner of Christ. Like that it just makes it so much more, like you said, just meaningful, like just deep. And so we can crack up, we can do things like that, but then we can also like, break down and cry and just be
Yes.
like, I messed up this week, and
Yeah.
can you pray for me? And that sort of vulnerability, I think they each kind of feed off of each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah, there were definitely moments that I've showed up. Kayla will tell people to this day, and I don't think it happened this way, but she said the day we became best friends, I showed up at her house, and I was like, I'm a mess, and I need to talk to someone.
That's powerful.
I was like, I don't remember it having it that way,
But
but
she said from that moment on,
We
will be
became
best
friends. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, okay, so you guys, you were on campus. Cassie, you graduated recently. Sarah, you've been graduated for a while. Why did you choose to go back to the college campus? Why?
So for me, you didn't tell me to say any of this.
It's a good preface.
My kind of heart behind going back to campus. Well, first of all, so when I was a senior and I was about a month or two away from graduating, after one of my annual Harry Potter parties, Sarah and Earl pulled me to the side and said, "We think you should really consider doing the internship with ENC." And I was just like,
We did that.
y'all
No recollection.
But like Earl had this face that was just like, I know you're gonna do this. And I was just like, resistance,
Yeah.
rebellion. And so it took my heart a while to get into it because I mean, I'd been the president of the ENC at U of H since we had restarted the organization. I'd done a lot to help ENC, with
She
planning
was
events.
basically a campus minister.
Yeah, without the title.
I was doing a lot of work, and so I felt like I had a grasp on what it was to be a campus minister, and I was just like, I don't want that. I don't want that for me.
I remember her saying that a lot.
Yeah.
It's a
And,
weighing of cost.
and it really changed for me when I went overseas, and I was actually on a mission trip overseas, and I was doing campus ministry in a different country, and I was doing it in a different language, and I was having so much fun doing it. And God, it's like He literally just flipped a switch in my brain. He's like, you're having so much fun doing this in a different language, in a different nation. Think about how much more fun it would be to do it in your own, language, in your own country where you're more comfortable. And I was just like, wow, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I can kind of explain what happened. It's just like a flip just switched. And since that mission trip, I've just been on fire for campus mission specifically.
Yeah.
I've always seen the fruit of it, being on campus and reaching young lives, especially since I'm, fruit of that. But I think that's when it really hit me, like, I could do this for a living. I could do this, like, every day, full time.
Yeah.
And it was also why I prefaced that earlier was because I think you had such an impact on me, Carrie, when you poured into me, that I was like, I want to be that for other people, and I want to be that for other young girls.
Yeah.
I had someone pouring into me when I was at the lowest point in my life, and I want to be that for other people as well.
Yeah. Good answer.
Well, don't
Cue the tears.
don't get too composed, because I'm about to ask you why the college campus, Sarah. Why did you go back?
So this was actually a huge fight in my heart because I had like planned out my life. Even like from the first day of college, I already knew in 4 years, this is what my life is gonna look like. And then Jesus totally interrupted every and all of my plans. And probably since my junior year, I had people telling me, well, join the internship. I had somebody else telling me to do the same thing. And I was like, I don't need to do the internship. I'm a student leader. I can just stay a student leader. I can do whatever I want. I can, and then every year, it was hilarious because my senior year, I think it was my senior year, I was at a region retreat. And I just really struggled with giving up my own plans to be an athletic trainer.
Yeah.
And, I had ideas, and probably the main thing, if I'm being honest, is having my own control over the security of my finances. Like, that was that was definitely like high up there on why or why not I would choose to do campus ministry.
Right.
And I saw like everybody was joining the internship at Texas State. Everybody was at least doing it in some form or fashion. And so I was like, no, I don't want to do this. And then my senior year at a region retreat, every year, I mean, you think that you're going and you're pouring, you're going to watch something cool happen for the girls that you disciple or like mentor. And then like, God's like, no, I got something for you too. And even when you're an employee, he still has something for you.
That's true.
And like, I remember sitting there on the front row, thinking like, I'm just sitting with my girls, And
I hope they hear what you're saying.
I probably told. So Alan Motes, he was, one of the regional directors at the time, and he was giving announcements. Not like some cool sermon or call to ministry.
Yeah.
He was giving announcements, and honestly, that whole time, God was just working in me and just like, let go of that control over your life. Like, you have all these great plans, and yes, they're great plans, but I have even better plans. And during announcements, I heard very clearly, like, you need to let this go.
Okay.
And I cried. Again, the snot-nosed bubble cry. And Earl was sitting next to me like, what did I do? did I hurt her feelings? Kayla was on the other side of him like, you stupid, like, what did you do to her? And I just knew, like, I had to give it up. Like, I could not be in control of my life. And if I actually made this decision to have control over my own life, like, maybe it would be great, but it wouldn't be the fullness of what God had for me.
Yeah.
And so, that was really hard.
Yeah.
And, I could go on and on about that.
What do you feel like you let go of? You mentioned finances, but
just having control of my life.
Having control,
Like, what I wanted to do, what my plans were. Finances was definitely one of them, but also like, I didn't want to be like working for a church. No one in my family or anyone else around me, until I met these people, had ever worked in a church or ministry. And so it's like, who does this? And I knew the other thing was I knew that everybody my family would be concerned of my athletic training, like mentors.
I was gonna say, like, what did you get your degree in specifically?
So I worked really, really hard for that. I was once I got into the program, it was like 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. clinics, going to school from 8 to 1, going back to clinics from 1 to 8, these full days. And I worked really hard. And it was like all of these things that I worked for, I had to give up. And I was working for it for like one specific reason. And now it's like, you might not do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know if this is a segue.
Well, Cassie, what did you get your degree in?
Yeah.
I got my degree in creative writing.
Creative writing. You do some of that now in some aspects,
do, yeah.
yes, but you wouldn't really say that this career would lend itself to creative writing.
So I don't really feel like I had to give up too much, especially like career-wise for a creative writing degree. But what I felt I had to give up more was probably just the opinion of man, what my family would think, what they would say when I just went to college and got this degree that I'm now not going to be using. Which now, as a campus minister, you have to have a bachelor's degree to even go in. So it kind of works out. I did use it, just not the way that it was intended to be used. But yeah, for me, it was just a lot of working through what other people were going to say, especially everyone who knew me before I gave my life to Jesus. And they're like, how could this girl be qualified to do these things and to tell people how to live their lives? And that was a really hard thing that I still struggle with sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. One thing that I love about you guys and what you're saying too is that you were willing for your life to be interrupted, not only interrupted, but completely shifted. As if Jesus is in fact Lord over your life and operating in that way. And so how have you been able to see the passions that he's put inside of you, not just for the campus, but in other areas that you feel passionate about or burdened by?
So yeah, I mean, like, the main thing that I love about ministry is building relationships.
Yeah.
And I get to do that now all the time in ministry, and like even in my new part-time job now as an athletic trainer, I still get to do that, and I get to do it with like still on mission.
Yeah.
Not just like I'm just like getting to know these
Clock
kids.
in,
No.
clock out.
No, like I'm building relationships with these kids, and it's opened a lot of doors, and so it's purposeful. It's not just empty relationships. There's purpose behind every person that I meet.
So you were an athletic trainer in high school, and you recognized that you had a heart for athletes early.
Yeah.
How has that grown?
Probably even more now, just understanding the image of God and that we were made in the image of God, like so much more now. I mean, you see athletes all the time are just used as entertainment or just a body to do whatever. People saying controversial things about athletes, it burns me inside, when I hear people tell them to just stick to being an athlete. No, they're human beings too.
Yeah.
And I get to advocate for them in that way because I actually build a relationship with them. They're not just people who entertain me on a field or a court,
Yeah. They have a soul. They have a past. Just like you do, just like we do. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Sincere. Cassie, what about you?
For me, I think, ENC as a whole just widened my horizons about things that I could be involved in. So I know when I first started becoming part of ENC and started meeting with you, and just things in my background and things kind of were stirred up that when you asked me to start going to Elijah Rising with you to do intervention in human trafficking, I was just like, okay, this is something I didn't know I was interested in, but I'm actually, I came from a small town. I didn't even really know that human trafficking was a thing. I thought it just happened in movies. So moving to Houston, where it's
the number one
in the nation for human trafficking, it was very eye-opening. It was something I couldn't turn away from, much like, knowing the gospel and not spreading it to people. It's in the same way about like, okay, well, if I know this is happening, how can I not do something? And so I think even with CLC's anti-human trafficking program, Exchange, I think getting involved in that helped me be on mission, not on campus, but bringing hope in life and options and choices to women and men who don't have choices. I think that's such a
right. And there's something powerful that you bring when you talk to them, because age and just being, you're able to relate to them. There's something that you need to say to them that they need to hear. And there's something that, for Sarah with college athletes, there's things that you get to say to them that they may never have heard before.
Yeah.
And, and that's what we did on the college campus, what you still do on the college campus. And so in all of those things, what do you guys dream about for not only the college campus, but also in human trafficking or with athletic trainers or athletes?
Yeah.
What do you dream about?
So, don't want to cry.
It's okay if you do.
My dream is to just see athletes truly know who they are in God, who they are in Christ. Know that they're more than just entertainment or that they're just here because they're on scholarship and to get a degree. Like, my dream would be to see that all throughout Houston. College athletics, but not just athletics. I mean, athletics is obviously near and dear to my heart, but like, I want to see all students know that. It's just where I'm at right now, like where I have an open door.
Yeah.
That's my dream, is to see people serving Jesus on a college campus. They don't have to wait until they're married and have kids.
Say that.
Or even if they don't get married and have kids, like, they don't have to wait until they're older. Pastor Peter, he used to say, I used to think that church was for ugly people or old people. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be that way. We're not just ugly and old people here. We're young and we're beautiful.
That's right.
But so that's probably,
for me, there was this former missionary who had this vision of seeing dream of seeing the TDCU stadium just filled with people all worshiping Jesus. And I think I've sort of adopted that as my dream, not just for U of H, but more so a citywide event where everyone who, no matter what occupation you're in, no matter if you're a student or not, if you're an athlete or not, everyone can come together.
Yeah.
And I see it being more, I don't even know how to describe it. Just like
heaven, probably.
What,
like heaven.
Yeah,
Just heaven
just
on
really like heaven.
Heaven
Yeah.
on earth.
And I think that is, the Every Nation's mission in general is to be that all-encompassing. And it's funny how there's some people say that Jesus is exclusive, but yet we see heaven being the most diverse place.
Yeah.
And
Every tribe, every tongue. Yeah. Every nation.
and I think that's kind of what my vision entails, or my dream is seeing everybody, no matter what circumstance or past choices or past mistakes or whatever, all coming together and worshiping Jesus.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything better.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love it. Well, we know that the misconception that we talked about today is that you have to be perfectly qualified and in the right stage of life to be on mission. And Cassie and Sarah, thankfully, were so vulnerable to share with us of how they chose to be on mission under the lordship of Christ in college in the most of unauspicious places.
Yeah.
And so we know that God can use us right where we are right now.